Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the MOL Cybergamer Open Ladder here on Team Down TV. My name is Sam, and I am joined by Uber for our next match tonight, which will be NUMB v OneBlood. How are we going?
Going very well. This game will be massive. Okay, NUMB at 11-5, OneBlood 13-7. Well, 10-5. Sorry, is NUMB. That other game was on a different ladder. Point is, both these teams are looking pretty good right now, and a very important change as well recently to the roster of OneBlood. Fresh Meat, ex-Avant-Garde, now renaming to False Faith, has joined them. So that's a huge boon to their team, and surely going to be looking to be making the difference on that lineup now. So bit of background for you. OneBlood DPS, or at least one of them at any rate. Team Efficiency is also a DPS clan, sort of sevens team. And these guys have been doing really, really well on the ladder. Really well. You really can't fault them much at all. I think they're up almost second place or something like that. So they are doing nicely on the ladder, and really just with a very strong record to back up as well. They've played plenty of games, and these guys really know what they're doing. I also should point out Zenioldar as well. Obviously over on the side here of the DPS boys, the OneBlood guys. So yeah, a few changes for them. Be interested to see how that impacts things. Probably not too much, I don't think, because I'm sure they'll be put in positions that are going to benefit them in the greatest way possible. It's going to be a 5100, I think, for False Faith Fresh Meat here, which is one of his preferred tanks. And I don't think Zenioldar is going to take the Waffenträger off Panzer IV, being that's a tier 9 tank. But tank picks have already gone out, and interestingly enough here, we're on the map of Himmelsdorf. So I spoke before about Mines and Cliff being that open map. You can take the lighter tanks, the maneuverable lineups. This time is where you want to look to have a little bit more, a little bit more ham in your sandwich, so to speak. A little bit more of a stronger lineup and more durable lineup. So to that end, we're seeing a double 5100, an IS-3, a 110 pickup here. That's a bread and butter for Himmelsdorf. It really is. It's quite standard, I guess, for them to go in this direction. The 5100s, you need some maneuverability on this map, because with all the streets, you can't just drive from one end of the map to the other in whatever direction you like. You got to drive through the streets, and you got to be careful with your corners, and you got to check them. So having a quick tank is going to allow you to rotate down off the hill really quickly, Sandman. That's why we're seeing these teams will often purge 5100s at the top of the hill on the very right hand side of the map, and then respond if the enemy team is trying to push their base for a bit of a YOLO rush, like we saw, I think, from the guys from No Real Damage. You can respond to that by taking your 5100s off the hill. They can get back to base with plenty of time to spare. It's a pretty quick tank. It goes up to like 51 k's an hour top speed, so it gets along for a heavy. IS-3, sometimes you see two IS-3s. Sometimes you see one with a 110, and that's where OneBlood have gone this time. It's going to be Zenioldar on that Chinese tier 8 heavy, and it's very similar to the IS-3. There's a few difference. The caliber of the gun is a little bit lower, but it has a higher rate of fire. Little things like that make a difference. And it's going to be able to allow the guys from OneBlood to stagger their firing patterns, so that if it does come to a head-to-head, they can kind of be shooting as often as possible.
I think that's I'll go back to where you said about Fresh Meat coming in from Avant-Garde. You said now he is called False Faith. Now, that is a pretty big deal, isn't it? Really, that's a pretty huge deal. He's one of the main faces of I suppose the Australian World of Tanks scene, and I wonder. I assume for Avant-Garde he was the shot caller as such, and now perhaps I wonder if he's been freed up here as he moves over to OneBlood, or whether he'll still be calling the shots again. Because certainly that's a lot of pressure, being in command, being in charge of your team. Perhaps he'll be freed up, just to play his own game. I'm not sure what his actual position in this OneBlood team is at the moment. Can you shed any light on that? Do you know anything about that, Uber?
I think what I can say is if as Freshman actually stepped back from stuff with Avant-Garde, because it was taking its toll, and without going into it too much, I believe he may wanted to shift his focus here. Captain of OneBlood is Bandito Jr. I don't actually know who's going to be doing the shot calling. Sometimes you have a dual role in a team where you have a captain and a shot caller. For example, it's a good example with NUMB. Ajax would used to call the shots, but the problem with Ajax is that he gets flustered and makes really bad decisions, sometimes really rash decisions. So they actually handed that role over to Furbex, who's younger, He's just 18. Very sharp lad and very talented World of Tanks player. He doesn't suffer from that tendency to freeze up that Ajax did. So maybe it might be the same situation over on the One Blood side of things. But nonetheless, I'm going to be rolling out with those guys from One Blood here. Obviously with Zenialdar and Fresh Meat in their lineup. And you've got the boys from NUMB.
I do. Over here on NUMB, down in this southern spawn, we have our 2 AMX 5100s, 3 IS3s, and of course our 2 T1s. We have a look. We will see them rolling out with these heavies here, starting to push forward. We will see a T1 and an AMX 5100 pushing back as well, but nothing west of that 5 line, Uber.
Interestingly enough here, it looks like a very opposite situation here. One Blood, nothing east of that 5 line. They're pretty much putting all their strength towards that train track. And we can see on my screen at least that they're actually pushing quite far down. Like they've actually gone past that C3 point where you can sit some tanks and try and set up a mini crossfire. Zenialdar is at the head of this at the head of this spear, and he's pushing straight down. So Joke now has been lit on that 8 line, and I don't think at any stage One Blood are interested in trying to push that, because the hull down is just too freaking good. The IS3, the turret armor on the IS3 is bonkers. There's 249 at the front, 172 at the side. It is sloped, really hard to penetrate. You've got to hit him in the front of the pike nose at an angle that is flat to you. So obviously you can get the most penetrating power. There's no way really that realistically these guys are going to push down that 8 line. So Joke is going to have to be ready to rotate out of that quickly. Zenialdar at the lead here has spotted Horse of the Apocalypse in that T1. So they know that at this stage the guys on NUMB are a little bit light on the forces that they sent to obviously the western side of the map. Have NUMB seen anything yet to make them respond? Because right now these teams are very polarized as far as the map's concerned.
Yeah, we actually did see one heavy poking around that D3 corner there. You know, just on that northwest corner of the square. They did see one come through, but that is it. We're actually holding here along the G line. We do have 2 tanks up here. The 2 5100s are on top of the hill, but they are holding back. They're not going to push forward. I think they're going to try and sit up here and use themselves for some fire support in an area south of that F line, Uber, as they wait to see whether One Blood are going to try and push in with an aggressive move here.
Both teams have the same number of autoloaders here, so the only difference again is the fact that the 110's been picked up by Zenialdar, whereas there's 3 IS3s for NUMB at this stage. Too many 4-letter acronyms, it's killing me. At this stage, Zenialdar now wants to make a push with Bandito, and they spot out Horse again. They put EKZX down the end there, and he's probably going to duke it out for the moment with Horse. And that's probably the least of our concerns right now, because Zenialdar and Bandito want to set up to catch someone pushing that G line. Obviously, NUMB are going to have to rotate from there. Joke is now lit. If they can even get around behind him. I mean, the thing about Himmelsdorf is it's all about getting in, getting it done, and getting out. Because if you allow yourself to get surrounded, you're gone. You're gone. And NUMB used to be really good at this. NUMB used to be excellent back, if I think back to the autumn qualifiers. They were very good on this map, and it's the only map they beat Avant-Garde on at the time, just utilizing the fact that they could, outnumber opponents in small spaces by outmaneuvering them, getting around behind them. That's what Himmelsdorf, you can do that because you can be maybe 100 meters away from another tank and they can't see you because the line of sight is blocked of all these buildings. Right now, it's a very heavy push here to the K line. 3 tanks at the moment is going to be pushing that one, and Prince Machiavelli being lit. One shot comes out towards Zenialdar. He drops to 81 now. He had to try and stop there to get a shot. The BL9 isn't very accurate of the IS3. Sorry, that's a 110, sorry. So it is accurate, but even still, Zenny had to stop to try and get a decent shot, and that was enough time for Machiavelli to pull back, but he may be on his own here. Look at that double tap going on towards him though. 816, oh, that's why you take autoloaders on Himmelsdorf. That is a very dead AMX 5100. Eminence is the one to pick that one up now. Fairbanks takes a shot as well. Oh, Number all over the shop right now. Zenialdar just whips a shot there, going towards Fairbanks. Joke now manages to get a track. Bandito side scraping fairly well with the spaced armor on the IS3. You can do that. Zenialdar takes another shot. He stuffs up a second one there as well, and he's going to drop down to 877 now. Back and forth action it is here, but it's already 2 tanks in the dirt for NUMB. And I'll tell you what, the guys from One Blood looking pretty good right now. They are pushing in onto this base.
Yeah, that was genuinely surprising. NUMB almost had a good position here. They almost got back in time. They almost had it. But You see that 5100 go down as they will start to take out the cap here. 15% done. That T1 pushing in for NUMB to see if they can do anything, see if they're going to throw anyone back. But in terms of their own base, NUMB are in a lot of trouble here. We will see with Bandito Jr. will poke out, and his IS-3 actually going to go down. 400 HP coming off. Only 400 remaining. We'll see if Ferbet can fire off another shot before he goes down. Down to 15 life here. Bandito Jr. very, very low as he will finally get picked up. We will see this Amex 5100 from Boozer. I don't know if he's going to be able to pick up. No, it looks like he's out of ammo for the moment. Oh. And Ajax actually swing around from the flank with this IS-3. Is he going to? No, he's going to swing around and try and pick up the IS-3 of Atreides here.
This is really clever. False Faith had to go back to stop the cap, so there was an autoloader was actually not in the fight. False Faith was nowhere able to contribute, and now it's an extra tier 8 for NUMB. They turned it around somehow. Bandito Jr. pushed out and got nuked almost instantly. False Faith now is back in the fight. Will he have a crack at Ajax as it comes past? No, it's Storage Viper now, trying to put some damage towards Boozer. Boozer is a one-shot. Will False Faith use that one? Atreides drops as well. It's all falling apart with F1, but Boozer manages to dodge a shot from False Faith as well. Joke will try and move up here. It's all going wrong for one blood. Firmex picks up Zenioda. False Faith got to come through now. He can one-shot Joke as well if he makes that hit, but it's going to be a tough one. No, he does hit him at 412. Comes off in False Faith now, dropping very low, 592. He wants to go after Firmex. He wants to take it all on his own. That's 3 takes down. It's 4, in fact, for False Faith. It's an IS-3 versus a 5100. False Faith has some in the shell. He can actually carry this game on his own. Ajax up behind him, though. It's a shot in the rear, and Ajax would love it no other way. Ajax to clean that one up on a fantastic way. He'd be very satisfied with that. I guarantee you some serious rivalry between those guys. The problem with that is sending one of your most important chips back to deal with a T1 that was capping. Big mistake. One blood overcommitted with their T1s. They didn't have anyone back to defend the push, and it was all about NUMB just ganging up, getting shots. Zenioda missed far too many shots over towards Joke there, and it really hurt him in the end.
That was an amazing end to that game, Uber. Ajax pulling off some sweet moves, swinging around from the middle, picking up 3 tanks there for 2600 damage coming out of him. We actually have a look over onto One Blood. We will see False Faith with 4 kills there. But at the end of the day, 1 IS-3 remains for NUMB, and they will pick up that game number 1. How did that happen, Uber? What happened?
I'll break it down for you. As I said, initially, I'll try to catch my breath here as I go. Initially, it was all about One Blood. They made a push. They weren't even detected as they did it. They went straight for the 8-line shot towards Prince Machiavelli, and they got on him fairly quickly. You know, it looked like they had caught Furbex out. But the problem is that we had one T1, and this is quite normal. You send a T1 with your spearhead tanks, like maybe 2 IS-3s. There was one T1 that was on the 8-line, right? The other T1 for One Blood had pushed, on the K line. The other T1 had pushed down the 8-line because obviously that was the only way they were going to try and contest that. They weren't going to try and go head-to-head with Joke on the hull-down spot. The T1 of Mine That Tank from NUMB went up the hill, round the back, and sat on the cap. One of the tanks had to deal with it. You have to deal with that T1 that is capping you out, because before you know it, you've lost the game. Even if you have like a 40 tier point advantage, it doesn't matter. And what happened was False Faith had to go back. The biggest firepower potentially that was available to One Blood was taken out of that fight. He was no longer able to contribute, and all we saw then was a perfect push across there from Ajax and Furbex. They jumped on Atreides, they jumped on the rest of those tanks, and it was incredible way to turn that around. Losing that 5100 was bad, but obviously Zenioda missed some crucial shots. He really did. And look, I'll give him the fact that the 100 mil of the 110 only has, I think, not a huge amount of penetration, as much anyway. But it should have been enough. Joke got, I think, 3 or 4 shots went at him, and nothing really happened to him at all. He kind of got away with that completely, pulled out, and it was really good reaction there from NUMB in the midst of what was potentially a real struggle for them. By the time False Faith got back, yeah, I mean, he was out for blood. He was out for blood, but there's not much you can do against 4 tier 8s when you're the only one there. You know, while False Faith was off, doing whatever, honey, I'm home, opens the door, his team's dead. He goes 1, 2, 3, looking pretty scary. And then Ajax with the biggest smile on his face, I'm sure, come up behind him and put a shot in his rear. And there's only so much one player could do. To be fair, a bit more focus fire from One Blood would maybe have helped to take down some of those tanks, because there were three or so very low tanks from NUMB. And you know, if the shots had all gone onto the same target, they wouldn't have been able to reply, and maybe 1B would have been able to stand up to that.
That was genuinely one of the best games we've seen so far. I think One Blood will be kicking themselves after such a great initiation. They managed to get themselves through. NUMB just a little bit out of position, swinging through, but in the end, that T1 trying to pick up the cap, making all the difference, and as you said, losing that 5100 really, you know, taking out so much damage from their main team composition. So Uber, that was game number 2. Sorry, that was game number 1. We're moving on to game number 2 here, which looks like it is going to be on Mines.
Absolutely. Mines is going to be our next map, and NUMB have already had a run on this one tonight. So probably feeling pretty good, but can you imagine the atmosphere right now in the One Blood corner? They are going to be fired up, and I expect a very strong performance from them on this map. Okay, let's take stock of things right now. Obviously, it's the first game in favour of NUMB. It's a 3. So if 1B bring this one back, then we're heading to a third map, and I think we are anyway. Could be wrong. Anyway. Regardless.
We're keen for a third map, aren't we? We are keen.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, this is a very, very different map compared to Himmelsdorf, okay? It's far more open. As we saw in that last game, that NUMB took the hill pretty early on, and from there, they just sort of turned it around. They almost got done in, though, by Drop Bears, to be fair. The Drop Bears made a good push. And both games, the Drop Bears have gone for a clever push and just haven't been able to back it up, really. So it's going to be now about NUMB to do the same. They have to give up hill, by the way. I think NUMB have south spawn here, so they have to give up hill and have to let 1B take that. They really can't push them forward, because it's the slope. The way the hill works, it's actually a bigger slope to get up there if you're coming in from the south, and your tank slows down more as you go up. So you're just more vulnerable to taking shots as you try and get up there. And it was a miracle in the last game that NUMB didn't take any damage when they pushed the hill, right? But if you're coming from the south, it's even more dangerous. So I don't even know what's happening anymore. Sides have changed here, so we'll have to wait and see. I might just check. They picked the...
Eminence did ask for the north spawn here, by the looks of things. So, looks like One Blood will be picking up that north spawn. And you will be swinging down with NUMB to take out that southern spawn. So before, I think I followed NUMB on the north spawn. So they've swapped up sides. And we'll be seeing it from a bit of a different angle this time around.
Yeah, that's right. So, going to be a little bit of a different story here. The way that NUMB go about this one as well is going to have to be a little bit... it will have to be a different approach for them, giving up that hill. And I'm not surprised to see 1B want to take that. To me, it's safer. It's a safer start. And, you know, statistically speaking, I think we see more north sides get the win there. But there are a lot of things that also are at play there. So let's, without further ado, move along to our tank picks here. And they look like they're pretty much already finalised. Sandman, what is being picked up here by the guys from One Blood?
All right, we have a look. Obviously, we do have our 2 T1s, which is not unexpected at all. 2 T69s, a T32, and an AMX 1390. Perhaps 2 AMX 1390s with me being pushed in the middle of the team here instead of, sadly, at the bottom. So a little bit of autoloader action, a little bit of T69 action, and a T32.
That's right. So 32, he's probably going to want to sit back on the hill and do what a T32 does well. To quote my friend, as I always do, obviously I'll make clutch over at WGL, and the T32 is an awesome tank, and there's almost no cons in this situation. If you use it in the right situation, it's beast. It is the best at what it does, which is hold down on a hill and continue to provide vision and a constant source of damage, and that is really what it does. So Decimation being brought into the lineup here. For the guys from One Blood, and so we're going to see how he now impacts the game. He's come in as a sub, potentially 2 T69s, as you said, 3090, as well, going to come up for 2 of those for One Blood. Over on the side of NUMB, it's 3 3090s, a Pershing, and they have actually gone for the 32 this time. So instead of going for a fairly light 3 3090, 269 lineup, they actually aren't taking any T69s at all here. They want the Pershing, they really value that, and the T32. So in a head-to-head firefight, the advantage definitely, lies with the guys from One Blood. If you put a 69 up against a 1390, you normally back the 69. It's more durable, and it has a quicker reload as well. A 1390 can't fully nuke a 69 before it has to reload, and a 69 has quite a quick reload speed. So now we are into this one. Potentially, it could be the decider here. If NUMB can pick this one up, they're going to come out with obviously the clear 2-0, but we expect in every way the guys from One Blood to make them fight for this. And NUMB have been playing fairly well lately, so let's see if they can maintain that momentum here. I am going to be rolling out with those guys. And Sandman, you are going to be rolling out here, of course, with the guys from One Blood. And we'd be interested to see if they push that hill. So you have to let us know how that one goes in the early stages.
We will see. We will see very, very shortly whether they're going to push that hill. But in the meantime, while we have a whole 1 second to spare, remember, this is the MOL Cyber Game Open Ladder. It is sponsored by MOL, and you can see down at the bottom of our screen, we have a link for a free day of World of Tank Premium. That's about $5,000 worth of World of Tank Premium. Okay, it's not really, but it's not the cheapest thing in the world. And if you head on through to mol.com.au/WOT, we will see here that they are pushing the hill. And I think these guys will probably want to pick up their premium later, because right now we are into the swing of the battle here. Bit of damage coming out from False Faith. He's a little bit of trouble. He is down to 600 HP. We didn't think that NUMB would make it to the hill, but they have pushed up here, and One Blood is in a lot of trouble.
I don't really understand what's happening here, though, because False Faith is a little stuck on the hill with Pseudo Giant and Mine that tank in the middle. A lot of fighting going on. Furbex bounces the shot from False Faith. False Faith is going to get lucky. Didn't know the track, but instantly repairs it. He's got the right repair kit there as well. As the smoke clears, that trade going heavily in favor of NUMB there as well. A 3090 of Eminence gets dropped completely. False Faith goes down. NUMB did what you don't do on this map, and that was push the hill. They pushed with their 3090s, and they came out with a stellar performance. They absolutely came out on top there. It ain't over yet, but look at the damage going towards Bandito Jr. He's trying to shoot back towards Pseudo Giant now. Mind that tank's got right around the back as well, putting some shots in that 69. He's dropped as well. 2 tier 8s are down already for One Blood. This is not good at all. Fairbeck's now pushing towards the idol. We can see Zenyatta coming up the hill. It's EK. ZX there will drop in a second to Fairbeck's. He is still on reload though. He can't deal with that threat just yet. Crucially, Joke, on 100% of health in that T32, the hill belongs to NUMB. The advantage is in their favor right now. Ajax wants a shot towards Decimation. He's going to hit the dirt. That's a fairly standard performance from him. Boozer drops a tradies as well. So only that 1 tier 1 left, and that's EKZX. He will drop soon as well. After that, it's going to be looking very, very ugly for One Blood. I don't know what happened, but they lost that push hard. That was a real risk that the guys from NUMB took, and I'll have to find out why.
Well, One Blood genuinely found themselves split straight down the middle. Half their tanks managed to get onto the hill, and their other half got stuck out in the field of battle. We will see the 1390 drop down here. Decimation from behind that T32, trying to reverse over the top of Pseudo Giant. He is going to get cornered here, and he is going to blow up just the 1390 from False Faith, or Fresh Meat, as we used to call him. He's that is it. That's the end of the game. The tank that took the first damage of the match is the tank who is going to take the last damage of the map. And NUMB absolutely destroying One Blood this time around.
I think what NUMB just did to 1B has got to be illegal, at least in a few countries. That is nasty. I mean, if anyone wants to know how to play South spawn mines, Don't take the advice here, because they really hedged their bets pushing up that hill. I think they used the element of surprise here. I don't know if One Blood expected them to push that hill, and I think NUMB knew that. But what happened was, we put 2 3090s on the hill, and One Blood, when they saw the push from NUMB, they froze. The only 3090 that actually made it up the hill was False Faith, and he was stuck on that hill. There was not much he could do, because we saw... No, there was another 3090, sorry, but the 3090 pushed off the hill into a 3090 and a 32, just trying to kill them. That was Eminence, and he got dropped. He got absolutely dropped. So I'm not really sure why he did that, instead of maybe trying to solidify his position with False Faith there on the hill. But after that, False Faith dropped super low. I mean, he was in trouble anyway, okay? He was stuck on that hill. He'd already taken 2 shots getting up. So originally... The advantage was with NUMB anyway, because of the damage that was done, but it is a pretty pitiful damage chart for for the guys from One Blood. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it's terrible, actually. So they really weren't able to connect their shots. Man, I think they got outmaneuvered. I think False Faith got completely outplayed up on the hill. He's probably going to have a go at me for saying that afterwards. But it didn't work out for him well at all. NUMB there really made it work. They had those 239s sitting up on the hill. They had that bucket also who was free to roam as well. You know, I don't really know. I don't really know, to be honest, like where the catalyst was for this victory. I just think that NUMB did what they do, and they do it really well. And in this game, I think they caught One Blood by surprise. I'll try and cut my rant short there, but I really think that's what happened. We can see the damage. Only one player from One Blood with like over 1,000 damage, and that was Decimation on the 32.
Yeah, and that was as he was surrounded by tanks, getting destroyed, getting ripped to shreds. He did a bit of damage on the way down, but it was really, in the end, nothing damage, and it was just absolutely annihilated here by NUMB, and doing the complete opposite of what you told him to do, Uber. So, step number one for victory.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily don't push hill if you're South Spawn. I guess the element of surprise always works really well. They kind of threw caution to the wind, but when you've got, you know, False Faith who did 36 damage from a ram, Bandito got 1 shot, Zenyordo got 2 shots, you know, Eminence got 2 shots, and Bandito actually hit one of his teammates. So, you know, it was just chaos, I think, in the camp of One Blood, and it's actually, I don't expect to see that from them really at all. I didn't expect to see that, but NUMB have really impressed me tonight in both of their series, and it's nice to be able to see their style of play, because if we cast our thoughts all the way back to when NUMB first became, first formed, they were a team called Thunder. And they came out of nowhere. They sort of competed in the qualifiers for the Autumn Series, and I remember sitting in my casting chair at the time and sort of just one of my first few casts actually going, who the hell are these guys? All they did on every mount was YOLO, straight down the middle. And they managed to take so many teams by surprise and win the games because they just went straight down the middle. This might be a little bit of a return to that approach, but balanced with some good decision making and you know, premeditation. So I've really got to give it to them there. They did very, very well. And Sandman, you know, you can see it on the chart there. Looks like NUMB. It's all about them tonight.
It is. They played 2 very, very good best of 3s, picking up 4 games from 4, dropping none, and just genuinely very, very impressive play from them. So that was our 2 best of 3s for tonight. I put that free day of World of Tank Premium link back up on the screen, mol.com.au/WOT. Get out there, MOL supporting Australian esports, supporting esports within Asia. They're supplying all the gold for this competition, so huge shout out to them. If you can help them in any way, pick up some MOL points from your local retailer. There's so many places you can get them. I know you can even get them at the LAN Cafe where I work, so that's pretty impressive. So that is it for tonight, guys and girls. Just remember, we do cast World of Tanks every fortnight here on a Sunday night on Team Down TV. Is again the MOL Cyber Gamer Open Ladder. My name is Sandman. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Uber. Super games. Any shout-outs you want to make before we close this one off?
Joke wanted me to make a shout-out to Mindfork Esports, but I have no idea who that is, and I have no affiliation with that, so we can't really comment too much there. But no, nothing, not really. Just a big shout-out, of course, to MOL. Big shout-out to Cybergamer, and a big shout-out to the guys, you guys, for joining us here as well. You can continue the conversation with us. We really appreciate your feedback, of course, on the chat. Also, hit us up on Twitter. You can hit me up at Ubershouts is my handle, and Sandman is at TDTV_Sandman. Anytime, give us a follow as well. You'll know when any of our streams are going live. So really, definitely a good idea to do that. But I'm done. Thank you very much, Sandman. It's been a fantastic night of games.
Thank you very much, Uber. That is it for tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, we will hopefully see you again in a fortnight with more tanking action.